I want to thank you so much for downloading our free Be Still coaster tutorial printable. And I'm going to show you how to use it today. So with a printable, there's multiple ways that you can print it. You can print it on cardstock, you can print it on regular printer paper. If you want a little bit nicer design, then you can also print it on 35-pound printer paper. But today I'm going to show you how to print it on tissue, which is my favorite way to do it for the coasters. So what you're going to need for this tutorial is you're going to need four 4x4 coasters. I'm using the square because that's what the design is sized for, but you could use a circle or a hexagon or any other shape that you have that fits the design is fine. These are ceramic coasters with the cork backing included in them. So we do sell these. If you need coasters, we do have those available. You're also going to need either tissue paper, or these are just blank napkins. So these are actually just from a stash from my printer, sometimes gives us blanks, but you could also use one of the plies. Like if you've used one of our napkins and you've used the front ply, you could use like the back ply, you could tear it off and just use that. You're also going to need a piece of cardstock. So this is just regular cardstock I get at Walmart. So I have that. We have, we're going to need tape, we're going to need scissors, you're going to need a paintbrush, and your Mod Podge. And then you're also going to want to seal these. So I'll get to it at the end, but I do have a sealer that I recommend using as well. And that's because of the condensation that will come from using it as a coaster. If you have that condensation and then it gets on your Mod Podge as a sealer, it can get gummy, and we don't want that. So we want it completely sealed. So what we're gonna do is with our napkin, or like I said, you could use tissue paper. This is a couple of plies here. And so I think I've already used one ply off of this, so I just want to separate these last two plies. The easiest way for me to do it is I actually tear like a corner, and then usually at some point in that tear, you can catch one of the plies. I'm going to say that, and then it's not going to be my friend today. Well, I need to tear it a little bit more. And again, once you get down to like these are the last two plies, it gets a little bit harder than if I was working with 3 plies. Or like I said, you could even work with tissue paper, but there I've got it separated. So I'm just gonna gently separate this whole thing. So the napkins that we sell are custom printed here in the US. So we only are able to print on the front because we are printing in the US. So because of that, every napkin has 2 other plies that you don't use. And so this is a great way to repurpose that. And this was a great suggestion by one of our members in the group. And so I thought I would give it a try. Now it caught right there, but that's okay. So I have like a little hole. You can see this in my tissue. But we only need the middle, so we're gonna be okay. We're just gonna go at it from the other angle and just keep going kind of slow. But before I did it this way with the napkins, using the extra plies, I've done it successfully multiple times with tissue paper. So the tissue paper I use is an 18-pound gift tissue, and it's just in white, and that's worked well for me that's worked well. So we're good there. It started to tear again, so again, I'm just gonna back it up if you start going too fast, and just so you get that. We only want this one ply to go through the printer so that we don't worry about it getting caught on anything. This part right here is going to be the most difficult part of the entire tutorial. This will be really easy once we get our plies separated. So again, I just have that one corner that's getting caught. And the reason we just want the one ply is because, one, we don't want it to get jammed in the printer. We don't want wrinkles. And then also, we want this design to kind of disappear onto the coaster. And that's what using tissue paper is going to do. So like I had mentioned before, you can use regular printer paper, and you can Mod Podge that right to the coaster as well. But if you want this the kind of feel where the image kind of fades away into the coaster, it's more like a painting, then that's where you're going to want to come in and do this printing on the tissue paper or the napkin ply. So I'm going to save my last little napkin ply for another project over there. And then I have the one here that I got peeled off. And so the other one had the hole in it, which again is fine because we don't need the whole sheet. You can see that it's not, the napkin isn't taking up the whole sheet. So what you're going to do is put your cardstock in there, and you're going to fold this out. So I like working from one side and then the other, and I'm just taking regular Scotch tape, and I am just going to attach it here. Now I have some ribbon or something on there as a fuzzy. So from there, I'm just going to flip it, and then I'm going to do the other side. As you're doing this, you do want to kind of pull the tissue tight. Not super tight that it's going to tear it, but you want it pretty flat on the back side. So from there, we're going to do the top and the bottom. So again, you're just going to take this and fold it up, and then we want to make sure that we have everything nice and flat because we don't want anything to get caught in our printer and jam our printer. So I'm going to do one on each side here. And then I also am going to do one in the middle when I'm folding up the ends. Now you can do this on an inkjet, you can do it on a laser printer. I've done both. Today I'm going to be using my laser printer just because that's what I have up here right by me. And so in my inkjet, because this is the most difficult part I think of besides separating the plies, is figuring out which way your paper needs to go in for your design to print. So on my inkjet, I actually have to put the tissue face down in the printer. So I would put it in the printer like this. It's going to come through and it's going to print on the top. Now in my laser jet, I have to put it in like this. So if you're not sure, one of the ways that I find to figure out mine is I take a piece of printer paper and I just write top on it. And then I put it through the printer and print something. If it comes out and the ink is where it says top, then you know that you need to put it down face up. If it comes through the printer and it's printed on the back, then you need to know you need to put it in your printer face down. So that's kind of my trick. So you're actually just going to put this in through your printer. You're going to go to your computer and you're going to hit print on your Be Still printable. And when it comes out, you're going to get this sheet. So you can see mine caught a little bit in the printer, but that's fine. Oh, that's black ink on me. I did another project before. I'm like, why do I have ink on my finger? But it's from the project I just did before. But this is what we're going to end up with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just get rid of my tape here. I'm just going to take it off of here. You could also cut it. The way that I like to remove this the easiest is if you have a guillotine cutter, you can stick this in the guillotine and just trim off all the edges, and then you just have a sheet to work with. I don't have that today in here, it's in the other room, so I'm just going to start carefully tearing these sides so I can unattach it from the cardboard or the cardstock here. And we just want to make sure that we don't get too crazy. I don't want to tear the front any at all because I do need all 4 of those designs for all 4 of my coasters. But basically, we're just trying to get this off of the cardboard. And so there we go. This is just what we've ended up with the cardboard. We don't need that. You could take your tape off it and you can repurpose it. However, you will notice that some of the ink, just like we would have on a napkin, some of it did come through on this side. So if I'm going to use this piece of cardstock again, I want to use the other side as the print side so I don't have that design bleeding through. So here we go. We have our 4 Be Still printables that are printed out on the tissue paper. Now, here's the thing. I did give you one extra design right here that's not on any, it doesn't have a design behind it. So you could use this for something else as well. So don't throw away that little piece because it is just an extra little design for you to use. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually go through with my scissors because we didn't cut this on the guillotine, and I'm just going to trim these up so that I just have the 4. I'm not working with all this extra paper. So we're just going to kind of cut some of this extra off. And then you do want to leave yourself a little edge. Don't go so close because you might need it to wrap around. And these are 4 different backgrounds with the same design. So you could make a set. If you wanted multiple of the same designs, then you would just go through and print this multiple times. And then you could make your set out of like a set of 4 of these, a set of 4 of those. So you just need to do multiple prints. And that's what's great about the printables is you can reprint as many times as you need for as many projects as you want. Maybe you don't want to do a coaster. Maybe you want to do a sign, a 4x4 sign for your tier tray. You could do that as well. So it's great. I just love the printables for that. Is there's so much versatility in what you can do. So we're going to bust into our coasters here. These are already white and they are ready to go. So this is the backing that you're going to use. You just peel off the sticky and then you can put it right on the back when you're done. So ours do come with the cork, really nice cork backings. And then I'm going to separate these so that we're just working with the one at a time. Again, it's so much easier with the guillotine, but that's not what we have today. And then I keep actually cutting this off screen so you can't see, but you know I'm cutting, right? I think I'm going to do this teal one right here with the roses. It's so pretty. I love these vintage floral designs that have like the lace and they just look kind of aged. They're my favorite. And then you've got browns and teals and pinks in here, so you can kind of pick your favorite there. So again, these are already sized for a coaster. So you can see on our coasters, they fit dang near perfectly. So that's basically how it's going to go on there. So once I get it centered, so that I know, basically I'm looking to make sure that this edge is going to go, the colored edge is going to go all the way around. That I'm not going to have any white showing once I Mod Podge it is what I'm looking for. Because you will see the white edge if it's not going around it. So then next, I'm just going to take my Mod Podge. I've got it centered so I don't want it to move at all. So I'm just going to take my Mod Podge and apply it on there. And I had a brush ready. Here we go. And I'm just going to come in and work that Mod Podge out. Now this looks like I was a little aggressive with the Mod Podge, and so I'm going to just wipe it on my cardstock I have over here, because we do not want a whole blob of Mod Podge on there because it's going to give us a bumpy design. We do want to make sure we go around the edges a little bit with the Mod Podge, because it is going to wrap around a little bit. So we've got that, and I'm just going to come through light feathers, and I'm going to feather it from the center out, and I'm going to make sure I'm going around the edges. All right, so we've got half of it done there. Got a little Mod Podge on the surface saver here. That's fine. It's going to peel right back off. One of the reasons I love using the surface saver, this is a mat that we designed, that I designed here, that we sell in the store, that has our Ephesians 2:10 on it, created with a purpose. So it's a great way to protect your surface and also remind you as you craft that you are created with a purpose. This particular one was a collab between myself and Heidi Scott of DIY Dreaming. She helped pick the verse, and we kind of gave her some choices, and then she picked the verse and then the colors and which design she wanted. We gave her a few design choices, and this was the one that she just loved. So we put it in production, and it is available now in the store. So it is paint resistant, heat resistant. You can use alcohol inks with it. You can use resin with it. It just protects every surface. And then any of this paint or hot glue or Mod Podge or anything, it just peels right off. So it is a must-have for any crafter. Okay, so we've got that on there all nice, very smooth. We didn't have any issues there. So I'm gonna let that one dry and I'm gonna go ahead and work on another one. And then we will come back and we'll sand the edges. So the other thing that you're gonna want is a sander of some sort. You can either use this type of sander, and I'm gonna change it just because I did a black project before this and I don't want that black showing up on my design. So I'm gonna grab another sanding thing. But if you don't have one of these sanders, which I do have a link to this one in my Melanie's Favorite Things on Facebook. If you go to our main page or if you're in any of our groups, there's a post that says my favorite things, and the link to this exact one is in there if you want to grab this one. I love it. I was using like a sanding block before and it just kept falling apart and crumbling. This is so much better. But if you don't have it, you can always use a fingernail file. I've used one of these before, obviously, because I'm tearing it up. But you can get these at the Dollar Tree or wherever you get files. Super easy. So we're letting that dry. We're gonna move on to another one here. And I think I'm gonna go in and do the pink one. So again, I'm just gonna come in here and get it centered. Now this one has a little bit of some stripes in the background. It's so cute. Again, I'm just making sure that all the edges are gonna fold over and there's not gonna be any white showing. Obviously you wanna make sure you have it on there straight as well. Okay, so we'll come back in. A little less aggressive with the Mod Podge this time. I'm always heavy-handed that first dab I put down there. I don't know what I'm thinking. Now these coasters, if you're using our ceramic coasters, they are a little bit thirsty. They do kind of suck up the Mod Podge. So sometimes you do need a little bit, especially if you're like here in Arizona where it's already hot, you've got the fan going, you know, that's drying stuff before you're ready for it to dry. It happens. All right, so we've got our first side down. Again, we're just gonna lightly feather. You don't wanna work it too much because you can smear the ink if you get too aggressive there working it. Or you could tear the napkin, it could try and stick to you and you could tear the napkin. That can happen too, so don't be, just light feathers. You can also use saran wrap or a Ziploc bag is another way to do it, which I have over here as well. I've been pretty lucky with a light hand as of late, so I've just kind of been going in there with a light hand. So again, just working around the edges. And then we'll come back, work from the center out, light feathers, and then hitting the edges. All right, so we're gonna let that one sit. We'll come back to the original one that we were working on. So one thing we wanna make sure is I'm just kind of gently checking to make sure that all of I don't have like a corner pulling up or anything. And everything looks pretty good there. So then we're gonna come through with the sander and we're going to sand from the forward back. So we're just pushing down. I'm not going back and forth because I don't want to rip the design up. I'm just pushing from the front and then dragging it back. This is my favorite way to finish projects because you get a nice clean line and you don't have to paint the edges of it. Now you can paint the edges. We've done coasters where the edges are painted. We've actually painted all the way around it. But when you do it this way, you don't have to. So it's just a very simple way to finish it. And you could even come back in here with some antiquing if you want to antique it. Almost got all of the edges. Okay, so now you can see we've got nice clean edges all the way around. So now this one just needs to be sealed. It's completely ready to go. So we'll put that one aside and then I'll come through and do the other one. Now this one I did just see a bubble, so I'm gonna just push it down because it just didn't get attached there. So it is good while they're still wet, just to make sure that you don't have a spot like that was trying to bubble. So I just pushed it back down. Now, after these are done, I would let them cure at least for a couple hours. So usually I will wait till like nighttime before I go to bed, and then I will do the sealing. And so I'll show you what I use for that. Let me just finish. So there's another bubble there. I just want to push it down. All right, so here's the second one. So cute. So we've got these two done already. Scooch them over there so you can see. And then what I'm gonna seal with, this is what I use. So I got this at Lowe's. Basically, you don't have to get this exact brand, but what you're looking for is an engine enamel, and then typically it's the gloss clear because you want to clear. But the most important part is this right here. You want it up to 550 degrees. And so that's what's gonna seal your coaster, so that you don't have any issues with condensation or the design being ruined. So how I do the sealing is I'm gonna do one coat tonight, let it sit overnight outside. You do not wanna spray this stuff inside. It is toxic and stinky. So one coat tonight, I'll let it sit overnight. Then tomorrow I will do another coat, and then you should let it sit another 24 hours. And then at that point, it should be completely sealed and they won't stick together. You'll be completely set, and at that point I will, after it's done sealing, then I'll go ahead and put the backings, the cork backings on the back, and they will be ready to go. I'll package these up in a 4-pack and probably sell them in my booth. So that is as easy as it is. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for downloading the printable, and don't forget, if you do make these, when you make them, I would love to see your finished project. So you can share them on social media at Christian Craft Paper. You can tag us and I'll be able to see them. Or you can always shoot them over an email or send them a direct message. But I want to thank you for watching on following along today. Enjoy the printable, and until next time, happy crafting.